Good day, Tamers. Welcome back to Gear Swiftly, doing something that's here on the YouTube. It's been a while. Those of you who didn't see, on Sunday we did the Ultimate Cup. I was casting. I'm proud of myself. Someone's got to be. If you haven't seen it and you actually are interested in Digimon stuff, round 5 is probably the best round, and the winner of round 5 actually became our champion, CameronM, and this is his winning list. Somewhat fairly standard when it comes to a Bloomlord list, but for those who haven't seen a Bloomlord list and are wanting to look at a budget deck that does really well, Bloomlord is fantastically budget. I think the average cost of this deck is like £15 to £20. You Americans have a very weird marketplace over there, possibly a bit more expensive for those of you out there. Didn't run these power ones specifically because these are the EP4 ones, but they did say that if they could have done, they would have done, because they had a very, very pretty deck. So let's go through this now. They had the 4 Agumons and the 1 Gummy just as a 5th baby, just for the grind game. Agumon, for those who don't know, beginning of your turn, when you become unsuspended, gain a memory. This is actually not too bad into the mirror match, because if they've got a Hydra on the field and you unsuspend, you gain a memory back. So you don't have to sort of worry about losing a memory when you suspend yourself to other actions, because obviously this deck looks to itself and its opponent, or doing the shenanigans that this green deck looks to do. Digimon, it's just when your opponent's Digimon becomes suspended, draw a card, which happens quite a lot through different effects that this deck does, as well as your opponent just suspending to block, or to suspend for actions of their own. Obviously, it's on your turn, so having to suspend your opponent's stuff is quite common. Now, if we get this, all turns, very good card, as green would definitely enjoy. Come on, you want to play 4 of this one, because this is your searcher. It's very good searcher, and it will probably never ever leave the green deck, so at most you'll probably have to get restricted or banned, otherwise it's going to be a constant 4 of in green for a very long time to come. On play, the top 4 cards of your deck, add 1 card with vegetation or plant in its traits, and 1 card with fairy. Why this is so good is because you can add level 4 or level 5 and your Bloomlord. If you need the Hydra, you can only add the Hydra as it is a vegetation, I believe. We'll see later on. But you have to grab 2 targets pretty good. The amount of times that you'll see Palmon do a Surge and you'll grab a second Palmon and a Bloomlord is very common, because 9 times out of 10 they've got another way to get a Palmon out for free, and then you've got another Surge going. The Tamers here is just so your opponents can't gain memory except with Tamer effects, is because lots of gaining memory right now. Beelzemon's going to be very good very soon. Blue Flare, I think, does this as well. Obviously, they use their blazing memories very often. Stops anyone who's been using memory boosts, stops them as well. Any other deck that essentially, if they can't get rid of this, does not gain memory for any of their shenanigans. Something similar to Galakmon, kind of, but they do have the issue where if you've got to cut the field and you destroy something and gain a memory, Household effect will still go through as it is a Tamer. Pamu, players can't play things by effects. This is fairly good into like Flare, as well as Cross Hearts. If you play Baelstar, new Baelstar, can't play an Impmon. Stops Bastionmon. Obviously, you won't see it currently in the tournament Ultimate Cup, because obviously it's a very weird tournament setting, but nonetheless, this does stop that happening. EX3, Common, which is the, if an effect would suspend this, suspend one of your opponent's Digimon on your turn only. So 9 times out of 10, you'll either use an effect like Bloomlord to suspend something like this, or Hydra to suspend something like this. Then it will bounce an effect over to your opponent to suspend one of theirs, or you suspend this with like Samisanti, suspends this, and get to suspend one of your opponent's Digimon, and then it will suspend another Digimon. Very good. I hadn't thought of the ST4 Palmon before. I think I'd been running the BT1, which lets you search like level 4s, or I just play, I think, Mushroomon instead as an extra target to be fine. It's fairly good in this fairly good in the stack, because if you've got the attacking an opponent's Digimon, especially with something like Bloomlord that has piercing, gain 2000 DP for the turn. Having that 14, 16, 18, 20k smashing into an opponent's Digimon, then crashing through their security is actually fairly good. There's not a lot of things you got to worry about in there too much. Into yellow, you do have to worry a bit more about, things like maybe a Wyvern's Breath could be in there, or anything that's just going to reduce your DP. Purple will just outright kill you normally, if you're if they've got the right sources for it. So it's here or there, depending on the situation. Red Veggie, just very good for the targets of this deck. Suspending one of your Digimon, play a thing, Vegetation Fairy, 3000 DPLS. That's why it's here. Essentially, it's also just a one-cost. If you're in the stack, you obviously, like say, put this onto your breeding area, and then you go for one cost, give your opponent one memory. You'll accept them more than you think you will. Sunflow is just really good. This is a combo piece in this deck. When Digivolving, suspending one of your green Digimon, including yourself, you may play one Digimon with Vegetation Plant Fairy traits and 3000 DP or less from your hand without paying its memory cost. Paying its play cost. Memory. Sunflow, obviously, you do this. You can even throw yourself down a veggie, a weed. But generally, you want to throw down probably one of the Pomus or the Palmon to get another search going. That's generally what happens. Then, inheritance effect of yours once per turn when an effect suspends one of your Digimon. Draw one. Again, you do have a lot of things that will suspend. Digiburst will suspend. Sammy Santi suspends. Hydra suspends. And obviously, Bloomlord will suspend when Digivolve suspend one of your Digimon. I think Hydra's just suspend a Digimon. So you get to choose one your own. Play the one Cherrymon. Now, talking about this with Francis on the weekend, Fenton 2G. I like playing Cherrymon at 1. I've been playing Cherrymon at 1 since basically the other stuff came out. Fenton thinks you should play it higher. And it doesn't necessarily come up very often. I understand what his thoughts process was, but I think 1 is the winning deck after all. 1 is the process here. Not everyone was running Cherrymon in their green decks, so here, then, everywhere. But Digisorption, Digivolve for 1 is still a pretty good thing, especially if you put your opponent to 1 memory. You'll upset them more than you think you will. Ajatamon, the main once per turn. By suspending one of your green Digimon, you may play a 1 Digimon card with Vegetation Plant or Fairy. Its traits, 1000 DP or less. Again, this is very similar to Sunflow. Essentially, it's just the light building up here. Again, if you can get something extra down, maybe gain 1 memory at the start of your turn. Red Veggie, Palmon. Don't really want to put Sunflow on the field because you just want to use its effects as well. Again, Pomus, Palmon. Can't put the Cherrymon down as it's the beast. I think the only non-surgical target in the deck currently. Oh, sorry, that as well as Nidhogg will get there soon. Blossomon, a very old piece of kit. BT free, Digivolve for free, Digivolve for 0. Again, suspend something, go into this. You just use this basically to get to Bloomlord as fast as you can, or Hydra as fast as you can, and it's generally pretty good because your deck just goes, brilliant. I know what you want to do. To Bloomlord, when Digivolving, you may suspend 1 of your Digimon and gain 1 memory for each suspended Digimon with Vegetation Plant Fairy amongst them. Play. If you gain 2 or more memory by an effect, unsuspend this Digimon and gain Piercing. If you ever watch any games, like I said, go watch Game 5. Game 5 is fantastic. You get a wide board, you suspend 4 targets, Digivolve into this, gain 4 memory back. It's so good. You get to unsuspend this, you get Piercing for the turn. For your turn, then for every 2 suspended in play, this 2000 DP. 1. So you're swinging for like you pierce swing with for 5. You pierce swing for like 16, or depending on what's in forces, maybe 8. You do get to have the extra +2 security attack as well as your current ones. You hit 3 while killing swing on your opponents on the field. Very effective, very worrying, very destructive. Nidhogg here is specifically for the mirror match. So if your opponent has like a big wide board. They've obviously done this play before, gone wide as much as they can. Couldn't finish you off. You go Nidhogg. You essentially put their board to the bottom of the deck, and then you try and come back as much as you can. Because of the Cherrymon, you have access to pseudo blocking. You don't have a blocker in this deck anymore. Some people do run Kabuterimon still. I don't think it's very good in this deck because you can't search for it, and you do put it at the bottom often enough. You could play Woodmon. I believe Woodmon is a vegetation or a plant. So that would be the only thing I could think of that you want to put in for this. Hydra is the you may suspend 1 Digimon. Again, it doesn't say whose, so any Digimon. Auto return when an opponent's Digimon becomes suspended. Each of your suspended Digimon with vegetation, fairy, and its name and traits in the memory, and at the end of your turn, 1%. If you have 2 or more suspended Digimon with vegetation, plant, or fairy in one traits return. Of the owner's deck. Pretty good. 9 times out of 10, people generally do this to end their turn, so they essentially move whatever's on the field from your opponent's board. Just feel the mirror match is kind of like that's there for the reason it's just to bounce each other's cards. It's very annoying, especially if you can't get yourself on the right foot. Him Central Discovered, again, Fenton 2G's favourite card, if you didn't know. hates this with a passion. And I've already said, if these cards weren't 5 costed for, like, you go look at green megas. A lot of the green megas cost 5, specifically due to PD. I've got no problem with them getting rid of HDP, as long as from the time they remove it, every single green card costs 3 or 4 to digivolve into, like, any other colour out there in the game. After that, A-OK. Buddy Santi, you may suspend one of your Digimon. Just suspend one of your opponent's Digimon. Or Tamers, your opponent's card suspended with this effect. Can't suspend until the end of their next turn. Fantastic card. Again, we've gone through this. This suspend Pamu. Pamu then suspends something, as well as then you get to suspend the second thing. They have to suspend all these things at the same time is fantastic. You do not understand how amazing this card is, unless you've played this deck, or you've played with Semanity in the past, or you've had it played against you. Super annoying. Green Memory Boost, essentially just a searcher. They get to enjoy this quite a lot, obviously, as they don't run anything other than green cards. You can search anything that is here. That is obviously a Digimon. So when you're looking for essentially the only things you can put to the bottom is another Memory Boost, Santis, potentially discovered, as well as them. It's fairly good. You're only going to move 6 cards, I think it's at most you can not search for. If you hit all 4 of these, that feels bad because you're probably going to need them at some point. Then we play 2 Mimis. Start of your turn, if you have 2 or less memory, set your memory to 3. Simple memory sensor. And then main, if you have a level 5 or higher green Digimon in play, you may suspend this Tamer to hatch 1 Digi-Egg, empty space in your breeding area, or move 1 level 3 or higher Digimon from your breeding area to the battle area. Boy, does that matter. It's fairly standard. It does green things. You've got Mimi shenanigans, you've got control, you've got aggression, you've got memory gain, you've got suspension, battle control, pseudo blocking, searching, floodgate, memory gain, draw power, memory gain. The deck does it all, and it does it very efficiently. So, if you've been looking for a deck to play, especially in these current times of the Ultimate Cup, if there's any out there in America, or the next set of Ultimate Cups in July, have at it. Despite the fact this deck says it costs $328, I don't believe that for a second. Hit me up and let me know in the comments. Peace out, guys. Great day. And go check out the Ultimate Cup's Twitch page, which I'll leave linked below.